Imagine this. You wake at 3:17 a.m., not to an alarm, but to a silent, gnawing void. The kind that doesn't roar but whispers, "Is this all there is?" You're accomplished. By every external metric, you've won. Degrees line your walls. Your intellect is sharp enough to dissect the universe. And yet, here you are, staring at the ceiling, hollowed out by a question you can't outthink. Why does it feel like nothing is enough? This isn't burnout, it's deeper. It's the quiet unraveling of a mind too aware of its own gears. The curse of seeing the strings. You dissect joy until it's a chemical reaction, love until it's evolutionary biology, success till it's a dopamine spike. The smarter you are, the more life becomes a series of equations, and the less it means. Here's the paradox. Intelligence is supposed to illuminate the path to happiness. Yet, the brighter the light, the sharper the shadows. The more you know, the harder it is to not see the cracks in everything, the absurdity of societal scripts, the fleeting nature of pleasure, the existential weight of choice. You're not depressed, you're awake. And that might be the problem. Consider, a farmer finds contentment in a rhythm of seasons. A philosopher agonizes over whether time is real. A child laughs at a rainbow. A physicist mourns that they'll never truly see light as wavelengths. Love, to most, is a feeling. To you, it's a question. Is this just oxytocin and attachment theory? The smarter you are, the more you unenchant the world. Knowledge doesn't just answer questions, it dismantles the myths that make life feel magical. And without magic, what's left? A spreadsheet of existence, where every emotion is a footnote in a biological ledger. But here's the twist. What if the struggle isn't a flaw, but a feature? What if the very thing that makes happiness elusive for the intelligent is also the key to a deeper, more ferocious kind of joy? One that doesn't rely on delusion, but on seeing the abyss and choosing to dance at its edge? This isn't just about happiness. It's about the cost of awareness, the trade-off between wisdom and wonder, the silent war between the mind that understands and the heart that longs. And the question isn't, can smart people be happy? It's, what if they're the only ones who can be? But in a way, the rest of the world is too asleep to imagine. You are not lost. You are trapped inside a labyrinth built by your own mind. The smarter you are, the more you see patterns in people, in systems, in the very fabric of reality. But pattern recognition is a double-edged sword. Once you see the strings, you can't unsee them. And the more you pull, the more the world unravels into meaninglessness. The curse of the analytical mind. Carl Jung called it the spirit of the depths, the part of the psyche that refuses to settle for surface-level answers. Nietzsche warned of the abyssal gaze. When you stare into the void long enough, it stares back. For the intellectually restless, happiness isn't a destination, it's a moving target, always one insight away from being exposed as an illusion. Consider the hedonic treadmill. You achieve a goal, a promotion, a relationship, a creative breakthrough, and for a moment, there's euphoria. But then your brain recalibrates. The high fades. The next goal looms. Intelligence accelerates this cycle. You don't just experience the treadmill, you see the gears turning beneath it. The paradox of choice. The smarter you are, the more options you see, and the more paralyzed you become. Every decision branches into infinite possibilities, each carrying the weight of what if. Sartre called this anguish, the terror of absolute freedom, the death of wonder. A child sees a sunset and feels awe. You see a sunset and think of Rayleigh scattering, the mortality of stars, the inevitability of entropy. Knowledge doesn't just fill gaps, it creates them. The philosophical prison. Arthur Schopenhauer argued that human desire is a pendulum swinging between pain, when unmet, and boredom, when satisfied. The intelligent mind doesn't just feel this, it anticipates it, turning every potential joy into a future regret. Viktor Frankl, who survived the Holocaust, wrote that the more you aim at happiness, the more you miss it. For the intellectually gifted, this is a cruel joke. You can deconstruct happiness, but you can't construct it. The harder you chase it, the more it dissolves into abstraction. Aldous Huxley warned of the fatal fascination of the higher truth, the way deep thinkers become addicted to complexity, mistaking cynicism for wisdom. You don't just question happiness. You dissect it until there's nothing left to feel. The societal betrayal society tells you, be smart, achieve, optimize. But it never warns you that intelligence is a kind of exile. The more you see, the harder it is to belong. The loneliness of insight. You notice the contradictions in cultural narratives, the hollowness of status, the fragility of relationships, the absurdity of societal expectations. But voicing this makes you the killjoy, the overthinker, the one who takes things too seriously. The tyranny of potential. Your mind is a factory of unrealized futures. Every path not taken haunts you. Every mistake is a fractal of regret. The average person moves on, you replay, analyzing every variable. This isn't depression, it's disillusionment. The inevitable result of seeing too much, too clearly. But what if the problem isn't intelligence itself? What if it's the way we've been taught to use it? The mind is a relentless architect. It builds prisons out of insights, fortresses from logic, and then forgets it designed them. You don't feel trapped. You think your way into captivity. The illusion of control intelligence convinces you that if you can understand something, you can master it. But happiness doesn't obey logic. The more you try to engineer it through goals, systems, optimization, the more it slips through your fingers like smoke. Cognitive science reveals a brutal irony, the planning fallacy. Your brain assumes the future will follow rational patterns. But life is chaos. The smarter you are, the wider the gap grows between expectation and reality. Meta-emotions. You don't just feel sadness, you feel guilt for feeling it. I should know better. You don't just experience joy, you analyze it. Is this just dopamine? The intelligent mind doesn't experience emotions, it audits them. This is why traditional self-help fails you. Think positive feels like self-deception. Live in the moment clashes with your need to anticipate moments before they arrive. The neurological trap, your prefrontal cortex, the seat of logic and foresight, is in a silent war with your limbic system, the primal seat of emotion, hyper-awareness of time. You don't just exist in the present, you're constantly simulating futures and dissecting pasts. This is why boredom feels like existential dread. Your brain refuses to stop generating thoughts. The overactive default mode network. This is the brain's background noise, the system responsible for self-reflection, rumination, and mental time travel. In intelligent people, it's always on. You don't just think, you think about thinking. The result? A mind that can solve complex problems but can't stop solving them, even when the problem is your own happiness. The Cultural Hypnosis Society rewards intelligence, but only when it serves the system. The productivity paradox. You're praised for output, so you learn to equate being with doing. Rest feels like failure. Leisure becomes guilt. The myth of the enlightened life. You're told that intelligence should lead to some higher transcendent state. But what if enlightenment isn't rising above human emotions, but falling back into them? The greatest tragedy? The smarter you are, the harder it is to admit your suffering. You intellectualize pain until it becomes a theory instead of a feeling. But what if the way out isn't more thinking, but a different kind of thinking? The prison has no walls because you are both the captive and the architect. But here's the secret. You cannot think your way out. You must unthink your way out. The radical shift from analysis to embodiment intelligence is a tool, not a master. The rebellion begins when you stop interpreting life and start inhabiting it. The wisdom of the body. Nietzsche wrote, "All truly great thoughts are conceived while walking." Movement disrupts the tyranny of overthinking. Run until your lungs burn. Dance until thought dissolves. Let your body remind you that you are more than a mind. The power of absurdity. Albert Camus argued that the only response to an irrational universe is to embrace the absurd, not with despair, but with defiance. Laugh at their paradoxes. Play with ideas instead of wrestling them. The counterintuitive truth. Happiness is a byproduct, not a target. Viktor Frankl's insight was revolutionary. Happiness cannot be pursued, it must ensue. The paradox of intention. The more you chase happiness, the more it eludes you. But when you immerse yourself in meaning, whether through creation, connection, or contribution, joy sneaks in through the back door. The antidote to overthinking. Flow states. Lose yourself in work that demands full engagement. Let the mind focus so intensely that self-awareness evaporates. In flow, intelligence becomes a current, not a critic. The reclamation of wonder. Aldous Huxley warned that the more we know, the less we wonder. But wonder is not ignorance. It is choosing to see the world as miraculous, even when you know the mechanics. The artist's mindset. A physicist can know every equation behind a sunset and still be awestruck by its beauty. The sacred pause. Before dissecting an experience, let yourself feel it. Before questioning joy, let it linger. The final rebellion. Embracing imperfection. Perfectionism is the intelligence trap's most cunning weapon. The beauty of good enough. Let some thoughts remain unfinished. Let some questions go unanswered. The courage to be inefficient. Waste time. Daydream. Stare at clouds without analyzing their composition. The rebellion is not against intelligence, but against its dictatorship. You have been asking the wrong question. It was never, why can't smart people be happy? The real question is, what if happiness was never the point? The existential shift. From happiness to meaning. Viktor Frankl survived Auschwitz by realizing that those who have a why to live can bear almost any how. The antidote to nihilism. When you stop demanding that life feel good and start demanding that it means something, everything changes. The liberation of responsibility. Sartre was right. We are condemned to be free. But this is not a curse. It is the ultimate power. You get to choose what matters. The final illusion that you are separate. The intelligent mind sees divisions, self versus world, thought versus feeling, meaning versus chaos. But the deepest truth is this. You are not a thinker trapped in a world. You are the world, thinking itself. When this realization lands, it does not come as a thought. It arrives as a surrender, a dissolution of the mental barriers that made you feel alone in the universe. The last paradox. The only way out is in the mind that seeks escape from suffering is the very thing that creates it. But when you stop trying to fix your experience and start being it, when intelligence becomes not a weapon against life, but a way of loving it, the struggle transforms, not into